we're going to take data and actually create these frequency tables and create these histograms. So we have here the data, which you've seen this before. It was on your POD the other day. Fuel economy in the city and on the highway for a sample set of vehicles is as follows. We're going to use the data to construct a double frequency table. The first thing we need to do is find your range of values for both data sets together. Now you could do it individually and make two separate frequency tables. I like to put them together. So if I look here, my lowest value overall is 19 and my highest value overall is 41. So 41 minus 19, if you do the math, is going to be 22. Now then this next step in making our frequency table is going to be to divide your range evenly into equally sized intervals, with the minimum number of intervals being 3 to 4. And we want it to be 3 to 4 or more because you want enough intervals to be able to show the variations in the data, but not so many that you might as well not even have intervals. Now, in our case, 22 doesn't evenly divide into 3 to 4, and we don't want to go all the way up to 11 and have intervals of size 2, which doesn't make any sense. So I know that 22 is close to 24, so we're going to go with 24, and we'll take 24 and we'll divide by 4, and we'll get intervals of size 6. So we'll go a little bit outside the range of 22, but that's okay. So then step 3 is going to be to make a 3-column table, which I have provided for you with intervals on the left and the 2 data sets in the middle and on the right. And then from there, we're going to fill in the frequency table for each data set, and don't forget a title and the column labels. So when we look here, and I'll go back up to the data, here is going to be our interval, which is going to be our miles per gallon, and here is going to be our frequency, and you can abbreviate FREQ. And then I'm going to put down here that this is for city, and this is for highway. So now, if I look here, I want to go as low as 19. So I'm going to, because we have added 2, I'm going to go 18. So we've got here 18, and I want intervals of size 6, so I count 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So 18 to 23, and then 24 would be my starting my next one, and count 6, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And then I go with 30, and I go 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then I have 36, and then 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Now, I don't need these bottom 2, so for right now I'm going to scribble them out. I have them there in case you need them, in case you were to go smaller and say, do 24 divided by 6, and then do intervals of 4. So then it's a matter of looking at our data. So city, from 18 to 23, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. So then I put a 4 here. For 24 to 29, I see 2. 30 to 35, I see 1, 2, 3, and I have all the rest of my data. So then I can put a 0 down here. Now, highway miles, 18 to 23, I don't see any, so I'm going to put a 0 there. 24 to 29, I see 1, 2, so I can put a 2 down. 30 to 35, I see 1, 2, 3, and 36 to 41, I apologize for all the bouncing around. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. And my frequency table is done. So now, using this frequency table, we want to construct a histogram. So step one is going to be to make a title and label your axes, as well as create a key to represent the two data sets. So as you can see down here, I've already labeled for you and put a title because I didn't want you to forget. I'm going to make a key, and I'm going to say that blue is going to represent city, and I'm going to have red represent highway. So I've made my key. Now my next step is going to be to mark your axes with frequency on the y-axis and intervals on the x-axis. So down on the bottom, I know that I went 18 to 23, 24 to 29, 30 to 35, and 36 to 41. So then on the upper side, if I look back at my frequency table, my highest number is 4, which makes for a really nice graph for me. So I can go halfway between the line, and that can be 2, which means 4 is at the top, 0 is at the bottom. Halfway in between is 1, halfway in between is 3. Now it's just a matter of making your bars. So starting with city, I need to look here, and city for 18 to 23 was at 4. So I'm going to go halfway here and make a bar. And you should clearly make it much neater. For time's sake, I'm just filling it in. And then for highway, we didn't have any, so I'm leaving that blank. Now, city, for 24 to 29, we had 2 as well as for highway. So we will go up to 2. And you should make your bars pretty well even as far as width. And then 30 to 35 is 3 and 3, which is kind of nice. So we go over here. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap in between the categories. If you want them to touch, you're more than welcome to do so. But I prefer to have a little bit of a gap just to help yourself out with seeing the differences. And then we have 0 and 4. And so with the red over here, I'm going to go all the way across here, and I realize that's going to run into and you should be using a ruler when you do this. I realize I'm freehanding it, but you want to make sure that it is neat. And what I'm going to do to help myself out to make this nicer is I'm going to move things over a little bit to allow for it to line up nicely, because you want to make sure everything lines up. That last piece is going to be to compare the shapes and data of your histogram and make a conclusion about whether city or highway driving for a vehicle is better. And so I would say that my shape is somewhat symmetric, despite the fact that it is lower in the middle. And I say this, because even though it's lower in the middle and higher on the outsides, you could still draw a line down the middle, and it's relatively into 2 pieces. And so I would have to say highway miles is better. And we talked about this in class when we did the POD, because highway miles, as you can see, you're going to get the better gas mileage. All right, now I have another example on here, but due to time's sake, I'm going to have you take a look at this and try this one on your own as a second you-try problem. So you've got here battery life for 2 brands on the cell phone batteries. Construct the double frequency table. Using the frequency table, construct a comparison histogram. And then finally, compare the shapes and data of your histogram and make a recommendation for a battery brand. I also have the U-try problem. Test scores for Mrs. Smith's scores were as follows. Construct the frequency table and histogram. And then compare and make a conclusion regarding Mrs. Smith's classes. I want you to pick one of these and use it as your U-try problem, and make sure you mark whichever one you choose as a U-try problem. If you choose to do both because you feel you need the practice, great, go for it. I encourage you to do that and bring your stuff to class tomorrow.